With Yeli officially released as the newest unit joining Etheria Restart, we finally have a full breakdown of her kit, and at first glance, she's shaping up to be a very powerful pick. Yeli excels in various scenarios, possibly ones where buff control is important, thanks to her ability to steal buffs from enemies, or perhaps in fights where you just need a high damage unaffected by element DPS. On top of this, said DPS makes her a strong option for both PvP and PvE content. In today's video, we'll dive into how her abilities may perform across different game modes and what kind of impact she might have on the meta. But if you end up learning something new from today's video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Without further ado though, let's get into it. Skill 1. Yeti's skill 1 is really simple and easy to understand. It's a single target attack that has a 30% chance at max level to steal a buff from the target hit. This attack, while simple, gets major value once accounting for her skill 2, which has a chance to activate her skill 1 as a follow-up attack. Skill 2, passive. This is where Yeli's kit starts to get a bit more complicated. Her skill 2 is a passive ability that triggers whenever she crits a target, and with this, she'll automatically follow up with a cast of skill 1. Each time skill 1 is used this way, it has a chance to chain into yet another cast. However, the chance to trigger each additional follow-up is reduced to 60% of the previous cast's trigger rate. This gives her a unique infinite feeling attack into attack effect in longer fights, especially when built with the battle will / follow-up set. Skill 3, ultimate. Yeli's skill 3 is a powerful buffing and utility tool. It starts with a self-cleanse, then buff with crit chance, and this will ensure her next hits land more reliably without any debuffs to stop her. She then unleashes 3 AoE attacks, each with a 35% chance to apply defense break, giving her strong burst and excellent setup potential in both PvE and PvP scenarios. Now, you might have thought that her skill 2 passive only activates when her skill 1 is used, but this actually extends to her skill 3 use as well, making her a wildly high DPS option even on her first turn. Now, while some players might be tempted to build Yeli as a hybrid DPS / debuffer, I believe her best setup is as a pure DPS with follow-up attacks as her core identity. For this, you'll want 8 Battle Will to take advantage of the additional 25% follow-up chance, and this will be paired with 12 momentum as your primary set. If your account is already at the point where you can equip 3 sets, I highly recommend adding 6 Fury Edge for even more offensive potential. In terms of stats, since Yeli gives herself a crit rate buff, you can optimize her right side gear with 2 crit damage mains and 1 crit rate main to maximize burst potential, but if your stats are lacking, you can always swap between more crit rate, more attack percent, or some combination of this. It just depends on your luck. That said, there is an alternative way to build her, and that of course is with her defense break in mind. If your focus is on maximizing her buff stealing and defense break utility, then consider a setup using 8 Battle Will, 12 Swift Rush, and 6 Swift Raid. This version prioritizes turn cycling and control, but for this build, you'll also be aiming for at least 2 effect accuracy mains with crit rate / any other DPS main stat on your right side gear. Overall, the goal is to hit as close to 100% crit rate as possible, while still pushing effect accuracy to its max to ensure her debuffs and her stealing is consistent. That said, building a balanced character who has damage, effect accuracy, and enough speed can feel very intimidating, so ultimately you can either all in on effect accuracy, play this hybrid, or stick to the high DPS variation that I mentioned previously. Thanks to Yeli's versatile kit, there are several fights / activities where she can shine. As a burst DPS, she looks extremely strong in high health boss content where defense breaking and single target damage is powerful, and with this, Inferno Terramaton and Aurora are possible examples where her damage and follow-up potential can really stand out. Her ability to burst through enemy health bars quickly also makes her a solid pick for said fights, but of course, these are fights where the Inferno level difficulty can make things almost unbearable for early to mid-game accounts. Additionally, content like unit bosses or even the Phantom Theater can pose as alternative locations where she will find usage, but of course, these are fights where you can use Union member units, or you can rely on fellow players to reduce the need for this. As a side note, I do want to mention that currently there is a large bias towards Lily / Sonya and the new Kachi team that a lot of players have been using recently, and with this, you may find that defense breaking is maybe not as important as you may expect. However, this isn't to say that she's only limited to PvE. In PvP, Yeli can definitely present herself as a decent opener with an AoE defense break that sets up fights straight out of the gate. Combined with her follow-up attacks and buff stealing, she does also have the potential to immediately delete an enemy DPS and swing the fight in your favor before it even begins. Without this defense breaking though, she still presents herself as a decent DPS, as characters like Messiah, Romoka, and even Rosa can be contested and stolen away by your opponents in PvP modes. Now it's time we answer the most important question though. Should you pull for Yeli? Now let's start with the obvious. obvious, as Yeli brings a lot to the table. Her kit enables high damage potential through follow-up attacks, and when these chains land, her DPS/burst can be incredible, just like with Diting. Additionally, her element neutrality does make her viable just like Diting as mentioned previously, or even Messiah in most content. However, there is a bit of a risk reward to her playstyle, as if she fails to crit or doesn't trigger multiple follow-ups, her damage can fall off noticeably. To this end, tuning or playing around Yeli's RNG can feel somewhat annoying or tedious at times, and this is because you might believe that your run/team that you crafted to clear a fight is consistent, but in actuality, this could just be a result of Yeli using her attack 5 times in a row in a very lucky scenario. That said, if you're considering pulling for her just because you like her design, that's a completely valid reason too. At the end of the day, Etheria Restart is just about playing who you enjoy. Overall though, I think Yeli is a very strong and worthwhile unit to pull while she's on banner. Her unique RNG and self-cleansing mechanics alongside her scaling potential could easily make her a staple pick for a long time to come, and as a result, I think she's worth the pull. That's gonna be it for today's video though, guys. As always, I hope you enjoyed or learned something from today's video while watching, but with this, guys, stay safe, stay healthy, good night.